Hey, I've got a question for you. Who has two thumbs and is ready for another season of Thursday Night Live? This guy. So here we go, season 4, Thursday Night Live is here, and I'm excited to welcome all new guests. I'm excited to talk about all new subjects, and this season's going to be a little different. Last season we had some fun meeting some people in our neighborhood, the helpers around our neighborhood, and so on. And in the past we've talked about struggles like financial worries, marital concerns, mental health struggles, and all that kind of stuff. This season we're going to talk on the theme of surviving. Now, what I mean by that is every one of us faces a challenge sometimes that brings a threat into our life, and we feel like we just don't know how we're going to get through it. And so this season I want to talk to some guests who have demonstrated an ability to survive, to get through the hard stuff. They have endured a challenge, a loss, a sickness, something like that, or they're in the midst of it and they're currently figuring out how to overcome, how to survive, and how to thrive. So maybe you find yourself in a season like that as well. Maybe you find yourself struggling right now to survive. And so I hope this season is an encouragement to you. All right, so tonight we're going to be talking about the difficult subject of surviving divorce. I'm not going to start off by quoting the stats on divorce and all the impacts and the fallouts, but I think I'll just say this. You would be hard-pressed nowadays, I think, to find a family who has not been impacted somehow by divorce, whether it be their parents, maybe even grandparents, a sibling, a son or a daughter that has experienced divorce in their life. It's a widespread struggle for a lot of families. And how do we deal with the fallout of it? How do we pick up the pieces and move on after it happens? Tonight I'm talking with a good friend of mine, Melinda McNeil, and she is just opening up the book on her life and her experience of divorce, and how she has been kind of finding herself again, rebuilding her life, and finding hope again in what God still has for her. So hope you enjoy it. Grab a cup of coffee if you haven't already. Hit pause, grab a cup, sit back, enjoy the conversation with my friend Melinda. Melinda, my college buddy. Thanks for doing this.
Hi.
This is, I was going to say this is going to be fun. Maybe not fun, won't be the word we'll use to describe it, but we'll probably have some laughs along the way. Thanks for being willing to do this. We've been talking about surviving many various life events that come our way, and you've got a story to tell too. And let's do this. Would you just give people a bit of a snapshot of who you are, and
Sure.
Tell them a few really good things about me that you know, stuff like that.
Oh, I have some good pictures, I think, but I don't have them ready at hand. So now my name is Melinda. I actually grew up in Fredericton, New Brunswick, Canada, and I've been living in the United States since 2001. I currently live in just south of Nashville in Franklin, Tennessee, with my two kids. I have a son named Asa, and he's almost 16, and a daughter, Lily, who's 14, and a bunch of pets. And, you know, just living the post-COVID lifestyle down here, you know?
Uh-huh.
So,
is it?
Well, we're getting there. We're getting there.
I don't know where we are. Pre, mid?
Well, you're some color of the rainbow right now. I don't know what color y'all are up there right now, but
I don't know. We're a mixed bag, but
yeah, you
so
are. Yeah.
Franklin, Tennessee, home of Stephen Curtis Chapman.
Home of all the people.
Every musician
Yeah,
ever.
it's yeah, we have a lot of Christian music and country music. Oh my gosh, down here. I mean,
Let's not talk about that.
yeah, I do like country music, but
This interview
yeah,
is
I
over.
have a few. I remember Nicole C. Mullen goes to my church. She used to be. I remember she did a May rally with us one year, but I think you probably weren't. You were.
I was probably way
Yeah,
too young for
Heidi
that.
might remember. Heidi might remember, but yeah,
I was way too young.
yeah. No, you weren't. Nice. But,
Actually, I might be
yeah,
older than you. I'm not sure.
I think you might be actually.
I'm 44 as of the day of this recording. So
Okay, I am too. So maybe 76. Yeah.
yep, November of 76.
Okay, so actually, I am older than you
I knew it.
by just a
Knew
little
it.
bit.
Knew it. So who's the coolest person you've met or bumped into just strolling around town?
Well, I don't know about coolest. I see people all the time. There's a lot of songwriters down here, and I feel like they should be more famous than they are. Do you know what I mean? Because they do, but songwriting is tough. But oh my gosh. I went to Academy Sports the other day and Danny Goki was there. Scott Hamilton, the skater, like the figure skater, goes to my church. Winona Judd. I've seen the Paisleys. They were picking up their kids at gymnastics one day, and Kimberly Paisley held the door open for me as I was walking out with Lily. I'm trying to think.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's just kind of it's a little weird at first when you move here, but then afterwards it's not really a thing. Like,
Get used to it.
Yeah, and everybody kind of leaves everybody alone because it's their home,
Yeah.
So they need a place to rest too from the world.
Yeah, I mean, I think people here would get that. I think they try to give me my space too. They realize that I'm pretty famous, and they can't.
Only not everyone so many can have autographs.
Yeah, I mean, not everybody can have a chunk of my time.
No,
I have to be really choosy.
I'm really grateful you've given me a chunk today. I mean, honored. Really.
Such a dud. So, we knew each other. I mean, we've known each other for
a long time.
25 years. It was 96 that I came to Bethany, and we met that year.
That's frightening.
Yeah. When you measure stuff in decades, you're kind of getting to middle age at least, right?
Yeesh.
But tell us a little bit of. We're here to talk about surviving. I guess a number of things even, but you're a single mom.
I am.
You're single. Period. Not just a mom. You're more than just
I'm a single woman and
you're a single woman and a mom. You've experienced divorce.
Yes.
And maybe just tell us a snapshot.
Okay.
However you want to share that of what led to that and what that was like when that moment maybe came.
Sure.
When you knew it was over.
So, just a brief history. I met my ex-husband at college, where Neil and I both went to college. And we got married and went straight into ministry. We're in full-time pastoral ministry for 6 years, and then just sensed like it was time to do something different, and decided to move back to his hometown for a year. And then he got the opportunity to work with a financial firm down here in Nashville. And so we moved down here, and that was a really, just really felt like that was what we were supposed to do at the time. And so spent a few years with that firm. And then probably we were married a total of about 18 years. And probably the last 5 years of our marriage, things just started to unfold. People make choices, and you can't always change their mind or help them to make better choices. And so he made some choices that just were not ones that were benefiting our marriage, that were very destructive. And so in 2017, we separated, and then I was on the road to being a single mom. I had, two, well, almost middle schoolers at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I never in a million years ever divorce was never part of my vocabulary. It was never something I thought would ever happen to me. I was not, nobody, I don't think, really ever prepares for it. But I felt very out of control, because I couldn't make people make better choices. And prior to our divorce, I went through an entire year of counseling, because I thought, if I can't change him, then I need to work on myself and let things happen as they will. And I really thought that would change things, but it just didn't. And so, separated in 2017, and then our divorce was final in March, 2018. And, that's kind of, and then, your whole life changes. And, unless you've walked it, it's really difficult to understand all the emotions and all the feelings and all the everything. I did all the things I could. I read all the books. I did divorce care. I attributed a lot of my being able to move forward, to just the good support that I had around me. Mm-hmm. And my belief that I remember when I separated, I told many people, I will not be the same person a year from today, because I did not want to stay stuck. I mean, I was in turmoil, and the kids and I were essentially homeless. Not a lot of people know that. We didn't have a place to go. I had no money. But God, and I'll tell you that, I was homeless, but I was certainly not forsaken. And we never lived in my car. Thankfully, we were afforded 5 different beautiful places to stay for periods of time while I was working a very low paying job, just to keep money flowing. I just was very uncertain. We relied on the kindness of so many people, and I could get teared up thinking about that. I am. And God's provision for us in the midst of that crazy time was mind blowing, like mind blowing. And I have story after story. I could go on and on about how people provided, how God provided, and he used people to do it. But it's not all about the money. That was definitely his tangible provision. But sure. I'll tell you, he gave me peace when I shouldn't have had peace. He gave me wisdom and discernment when there was anything. It was like a chaos, like a tornado in my life. And so, that's kind of where and so now I'm kind of on the other end of things. Things have settled, and we're 4 years out from my separation, 3 from my divorce, and life looks different.
Yeah.
In a good way. Yeah. Different, but.
What are some of the earliest things that you remember?
As far as?
Like right when, he's gone, maybe early on that, but even once, like when you sign those papers and say, okay, we've now entered into a legal arrangement. We are not going to be together. What are some of your earliest memories?
So I remember when I sat down to sign, it was the separation papers. And my lawyer, fantastic lady, is only a divorce lawyer and family lawyer. And so she's seen it all. And I remember begging her at the time, like I said, please don't make it just divorce papers. I really believe God can redeem this situation. Could you make it separation and or divorce papers? And I'm pretty sure she sat there and looked at me like, lady, I know how this is going to go. Just, but I just really had belief at the time. This was in August after I separated. And I just believed that, that God could heal it if my ex-husband chose to just follow through with some things, and we'd work together in counseling, all that stuff. But anyway, that December things changed with him, and I just felt like God was like, he just released me from the situation. And so when we went to court a lot over various things, and God just threw amazing miracles my way through court proceedings. I saw a lot of favor. The court system is not a just system. That's what I've discovered. So you can't put all your faith in it. I find people really throw their faith into lawyers and court systems, and no matter how fair or unfair situations are, you can't depend on them to do what the right thing is always.
Right.
They just don't. And so I wish I had kind of known that going in. But anyway, we spent a lot of time in proceedings, and I was so busy, Neil, trying to just keep it together with the kids and with keeping a full-time job. And I think my job saved me in a lot of ways. It was a very social job. I worked at an assisting living community, and I was there. I was the admin assistant, like secretary, kind of at the first reception desk, as people came in. So God just like used that to help me pour into other people during a time that you would think I would just want to hide in a hole. And I just couldn't. I didn't have the luxury of holding up and grieving. So I would have to find ways to just do that myself. But I also did activities there too. And so I just got to love on a lot of seniors. And I made one of my best friends was 91. Like she just was, she was the best. And she's since passed away. Yeah, I think that's really, my mode was really survival was the theme. And, I couldn't lay down and die. I had to get up and move forward because I had two kids and, that I had to provide for.
Yeah. Get up and go.
Yep. Pretty much.
Hindsight's a wonderful thing most of the time.
Yeah.
What have you learned about yourself?
Oh, I'm stronger than I think I am. I really was as chatty and outgoing as I am, I was very submissive, and not that submission is a bad thing, but it was almost out of fear that I would submit over things. Just, I would let things happen in the name of being a submissive spouse or submitting to my spouse. And I really still believe in that in a godly centered, faith filled marriage. I absolutely do believe that it's submitting to each other. But I also learned that, people tell me, I said, it's not very spiritual. I learned a lot of spiritual things, but one of the things I wish that I had been able to do was provide for myself earlier and have an avenue of income that, I really had nothing. Like other than he was our main provider and I worked only part-time. I wish that I had more, I'd worked harder to develop my career maybe, or to have a better income stream. Because life just happens. I remember, this is what made me think of this. I remember I had a hairstylist once who said her mother made her get a trade so that she could support herself no matter what. And I thought at the time, oh, that's terrible of a mother to do. Like, I just thought, oh, look, why would she make her do this? And that was years ago now. And I thought that mom knew life throws curveballs, and that if you as a woman or man, but I'm speaking specifically as a woman, can provide for yourself, that carries a lot of security and a lot of possibility that wouldn't be there if you got yourself in a bad situation. There are women out there in terrible situations that are terrified to leave because they don't know how they're going to they're going to make it.
Right.
And so yeah.
Paycheck with abuse or sadness or whatever is better than no paycheck in their in their way
like
of processing
having a
the
roof over their head. And I should have probably moved things. I should have probably left quicker than I did, but the fear of not having a place to sleep, or and providing for our kids was very real. And but it just the Lord just, at one point we stayed in this beautiful guest house of an orthopedic surgeon here in Nashville. And it was just the most peaceful property. And we stayed with friends in another person's house. And then God just provided not just enough, but more than enough, like he always does. Mm-hmm. And I'm so grateful. But hindsight, the very practical side of me would say, be able to provide for yourself, find a way, not out of fear, but it will also increase your confidence in your own ability. I don't know. That's the very practical side of me.
Yeah.
Hindsight of other things. Oh my gosh. So many, I don't even know how I could get into it all, but
what have you seen in your kids?
The tough stuff. People say kids are resilient, and mine have really been. I also think they fed a lot from me, and I'm not saying I walked it perfectly, but I was very intentional and who I surrounded myself with and who spoke into my kids during that time. And also my kids were older, so I was very honest with them without dishonoring their dad. Were there times where I said things I shouldn't have? Probably. But they were old enough to see things, and I didn't want them to question, or have questions. So, we had we're very honest in our house. We talk about it all and nothing's hidden. I think that helped. I think they watched, I don't know, you'd maybe have to ask them. I think they're, doing well. By the grace of God, they're doing well. I don't know. That's a really good question because they seem good. I know they've had their own issues and their own things with their dad. But they love him and he's their dad. And no matter what, as long as your kids are safe, like I always wanted my kids to have a relationship with their dad. And I never, unless safety was a concern, I never wanted to withhold that from them. I never used them as a pawn. I want them to have a relationship with their dad. And so they have one. He picks them up and they go places and do things. But I really think the kids feed a lot from their parents. And if you're a stressed out mess, they're going to be a stressed out mess. And
what would you say were some of the keys that got you started on the road to healing and recovery? And what has kept you there?
Okay. So, I've lived the Lord my whole life, pretty much my whole life. And before I got separated, I went through an entire year of, they called it biblical counseling. It was pretty intensive. It was like a 15-week thing, but I drew it out because I was just kind of wanted to work on myself. So I've done that, but, I'm a big believer in healing and in seeking wholeness and freedom. And so I think what really helped me, I have a really great church. That was one of them. And they were a really great support to me. I have a really great community of people. I could not have done this without my people. Mm-hmm. And so they are for sure a huge part of this. The support system was incredible. I have a great family. Even though I live far away, my family was a great support. Mm-hmm. And of course, during the really brokenhearted times, I'm a reader, so I did a lot of reading. Now, not everybody's a reader and everybody has a different way, but I just clung to anything that would give me hope. And so I have tons of books that I work through. One of the things that made such a huge difference is my quiet time with the Lord was super sweet. I prayed through the Psalms like it was my job, and it brought a lot of comfort to me.
Yeah.
They are
some favorites.
Oh, I love Psalm 91, Psalm. Oh gosh, I've got them all flagged. There's so many of them, y'all. I'll have to, yeah. The lamenting Psalms, a lot of them went through. There's a book that I loved called You'll Get Through This by Max Lucado. That was a very simple, easy read, but it just really spoke to me at a really, just was so encouraging. Oh gosh, just so many. I'm just trying to think. I gave a lot of my divorce ones away so that other people could benefit from them. So I don't even have those ones anymore. But yeah, a lot by Susie Larson. Really love her. She has a podcast. And so if you're not someone who reads, I would recommend, like, if you can get your hands on a good podcast and someone that just breathes hope and life into you, do that. Worship music. Oh my gosh, I still do that. Like, this morning, I have 3 songs that I kind of basically turn on in the morning and I sing it over my house. It's maybe a little corny, but I still do it. And I love it. And one of them is called I Speak Jesus by Charity Gale. And there's another one that I highly recommend. Sorry, Neil, I'm throwing all these at you. I literally would get up and play it and sing it loud. It's called I Am No Victim. And have you heard that one?
No.
Oh, because
we'll maybe post it in the comments here.
Yeah, do it. It revolutionized, just like, it was like a theme song for me. I'm no victim. I live with a vision. His plans for me are good. Mm-hmm. He'll come through like he should. That was my anthem.
Were you able to maintain like an actual vision for what life could be on the other side of this when you were in the thick of it?
I didn't know. I just wanted to survive. So I really didn't know, because at this point I was waiting on the job I currently have. So I'm still working, like making very little money. I think we're on food stamps, which was a blessing. That was another thing that I would really encourage people. I know whether you're Canadian or American, but Canadians are proud people, and Americans are too, just in different ways. But don't be afraid to ask for help. I was like, I can't do this alone. And I wasn't getting child support at the time. And in fact, I didn't start getting like really consistent child support until 2 months ago. So for almost 4 years, it was very sporadic, or I didn't get it at all for an entire year. So, you take every opportunity to avail yourself to what there's out there for you to survive. Yeah. If it's food stamps, if it's, I don't know what they have in Canada. Like for here, my kids were on state healthcare, which is, different. And you have to, it is a difficult road to walk in that state healthcare because it's so confusing. And but I did it, and I'm really thankful I did it, because I needed it for a season. Reach out to your church. But I always had the idea is I will pay it forward. Like I'm not going to take, especially for my church, I felt like that, but I want to be someone who gives back. But my church, a couple of times helped me with our monthly bills 1 year. And then a couple of years later, they helped me again. And, I'm so grateful, but I want to say this too. And I believe that everything that I have comes from him, and I aim to live my life with open hands. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's necessarily a formula, but the Lord asks us to test him in his provision for us. And one thing that I never not did was I always tithed. Even from the very beginning. And I was in single mom groups, and that was like a hot topic of conversation. Like, well, do we tithe if we can't afford whatever, and something towards the end of my marriage, tithing was kind of an issue. I really felt like we should do it, and he didn't always agree, and sometimes we did through our marriage. Like, anyway, towards the end, it just was a hot topic, and I just decided when I started making money that I would always tithe, and I always have to this day. I don't think I've ever missed. And so even through it all, I always gave back to the Lord what was his. And I would always tell people, my job isn't my provider. My ex-husband isn't my provider, but God is my provider. And if I am faithful with what he gives me, he will be faithful to provide for me. And we have never gone without. And not just financially, but in so many ways. Yeah. We have not gone without. Has it been hard at times? Yeah. Has it been tight? Oh yeah. But we've never gone without. And so I just am a really big believer in tithing. I think it's important for us. He doesn't need our money, but he needs our heart, and he wants our heart. He doesn't need our money. He's got more than enough. And, but it's really a hard issue. And so.
Cool.
So yeah. Does that answer the question? I don't even know what question you asked.
What was the question? I have no idea.
I don't know. That's where I ended up. But yeah. Oh,
you must have been, I mean, this is the money coach in me coming out along with the pastor, but you must have been tempted along the way to solve some of the financial problems you had on your own, like in your own way with, well, I'll just put this on a credit card, or I'll just get a loan, and I'll deal with this later when my job gets better, or when I get a different job, or whatever.
I think we have a lot of like ways we like to, I think it just digs us in a really bad hole. So some people just don't want to work too. There's that. And some people just, I don't know.
Well, I mean, you said a big one. Like we all love the story. We love hearing you say, we had no place to live, but we just trusted God, and we had all these wonderful people that God's people provided for us. We all love the story.
That's not everybody's story.
And it's not. We love hearing the story. We don't want to have to live it though. Right? And
I don't want you to have to live it.
The testimony is great to listen to, and it's sucky to get for yourself.
It's hard. It was hard.
I'm always amazed, like to hear stories like that. To me, it's a reminder that we don't have to turn to our own means, even on the financial side. Like, yeah, it's tough, and I will be tested in this too, I'm sure, and have been before. But God never wants to lead his people towards slavery. You talked about freedom earlier, right? And to me, debt equals slavery.
Yeah.
And we don't give God the opportunity. Sometimes we run out and buy the thing we need or rent the house we need, instead of saying, God, you got to show up here. And whose house are you going to vacate for me? Because they're going to rent it to me for $1 a month.
So let me tell you what a neat little thing happened. I mean, I really should go back and write all this stuff down, because it's just just all the times, just his nods, just his I got you girl kind of moments. But the first house that I was able to rent, the landlord handed me the key, and it had a Canadian flag on it. And I was like, are you kidding me? Like, I live in the Southern United States. Like, why would this one key have the Canadian flag on it? And I just felt like it was his little wink at me saying, I got you. Like, I'm still in the details of the story. Yeah. And you're right. Not everybody wants to live this. And previous to me walking this whole crazy path, I would listen to people's stories and think, I could never do that. I could never walk that. I don't even know what I do. And now my shock factor is pretty low. And I see, and I tell people, like, yes, you are to grieve your story. Things are not easy. And God does not tell us to put on a happy face and to just just do it and pretend we're okay. I think I agree. I'm reading a book right now on lament, and we are to grieve and to trust. It's okay that we walk through hard things. I wish people didn't have to, but we live in a world where this is just how it goes. We just walk our paths. It's inevitable. So to deny that could happen to you, or that you like, why not me? Why not me? But what I do with it matters. And I knew that, like, how I come out of this matters. And I want to be able to make a difference and help people along the way. And walk with them. My pastor's wife said, not that like, oh, I'll never forget this. She said, we're all just walking each other home. And I was like, we are. And I want to be able to be well equipped to walk with people. And because of this situation, and because I chose not to sit in bitterness and resentment and to always look at my lack, somebody looking from the outside, seeing me travel all over the place with my kids in the back and, living in people's bonus rooms, would have like felt sorry for me, or felt like I just stopped looking at my lack and I started looking at everything I was given.
I love
it. The perspective, you have to switch your perspective, and you fake it till you make it. And I think it's the same with forgiveness. That's a huge part of this story, is forgiveness. Now, when I was doing my biblical counseling, my counselor would make me walk through forgiveness prayers regarding my ex-husband in particular. And there were sometimes it was really hard to say, Lord, I forgive so-and-so for X, Y, and Z. Yeah. But forgiveness is a big part of not holding on to bitterness about your situation. I could have easily spiraled and turned to all kinds of things, whether it be reckless spending. I could have turned to alcohol. That would have been a really easy thing to do. Drugs. I could have turned to, all sexual relationships. I could have turned to anything. And I just made the decision that I wasn't going to do that, and that I was going to be whole and healing, and that I would help people on the other side of this. And sometimes it's just your mindset. Like, you have to, and God, who just he was so kind to me. So kind to me.
How long was it before you started seeing some of that redemption happen? Like, that God used this in your life to help someone else?
Probably, I would say probably about 2 years that I really started to see that I was able to kind of speak into other people's lives.
Not very long.
No, it wasn't very long, but I was really intentional. I was part of like a single moms group, and we kind of spoke into each other's lives. God put a precious friend in my path that was kind of 5 years ahead of me in all things. And so she kind of was on the other side of things, and she would always, it's like a coach, Neil. You have to have people in your life that have gone ahead of you to be able to speak back to you in your dark times or in your times of confusion. You need people. We're not meant to live life alone. And we like to operate like islands because we don't want people to see. Sometimes it's because of pride. We don't want people to see our stuff. Yeah. Like,
islands can be messy, right? They're pretty from a distance. They're places you think I should go visit there, but when you get there, you think, there's quite a bit of garbage on this island.
Yeah, there's garbage and there's a lot of bird poop, and I don't really like it here.
That's right.
And,
lots of bird poop.
Yeah, lots of bird poop. So, whether it be financial, you don't want to see people to see you and your financial mess that you're in, because it's embarrassing that you have thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars in credit card debt, or that you just are dumb with your money and you made bad choices and you're embarrassed to tell people that, or you made embarrassing choices in your life. My friend that went ahead of me, that was kind of my mentor, coach, sort of still is, she told me the good, bad, and the ugly about some good things she did, some mistakes she made. And it really helped me. Awesome. And I still call her. I called her yesterday about something just to and we laugh together. And that's important too, to remember that there's joy in the midst of this, of surviving.
Yeah.
So
those are good words. What would you say? I mean, you've said it all through, but even just,
I say a lot.
What would you reiterate or emphasize maybe to someone who is sort of Maybe speak first to this group of people who are thinking that marriage is too tough, divorce is easier, or it's the better route. What would you say to people who are considering it?
Wow. I would just say stop for a minute. Now, let me speak first. If you're in physical danger,
yes,
it's a different story. If you are and I would say, there's more than just physical abuse. There's financial abuse. There's spiritual abuse. There's emotional abuse. But I think everybody's really easy to say, oh, I was emotionally abused. And that could be very well the case. I'm not saying that it isn't, but I would just say, stop, take a breath, and you need to reevaluate. Divorce is not easier. There's life after divorce, and it gets better. I can't even believe that I'm on this side of it saying that, because people used to say it to me.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what this is going to look like. And there's a lot of fear. And, I would say, well, if you're close to it, you probably haven't done this, but you need to have people in your life that aren't all yes people. You need to have people in your life that will tell you the hard things about yourself and about your marriage. If, you need to not isolate. You need to get good counseling, and not every counselor is a good counselor. And so you'll go and not be happy with the counselor. Find another one. Find somebody who will be a good fit for you and your spouse. I would say if you're apathetic, you need to fight for your family. And I would say you need to deal with your sin. This isn't in any particular order.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure there's an order. This is just off the top of my head. You need to deal with your own, people say your own demons. You need to deal with your own sinful nature, and you need to admit to be wrong. And there's so many things that I just would ask people to just, like, don't just be apathetic. Don't just give up because you think it'll be easier, because I'm telling you, the grass looks greener, but it's not. And I have friends personally that have gone through this and had a year of separation and got back together, and their life isn't roses, but they chose to fight, and they are in a better place because of it today. It's quick, and everybody thinks it'll be the answer. And it's just not, it's not what God wants. And I see why. Now that I've lived it,
gotcha.
I see why.
So second part to that question. It's not what God wants. Yes. He says that to us in his word.
Yes.
When it's okay, it's now for somebody, it's already happened.
Yeah.
Or it is necessary for safety, those kinds of situations. Absolutely. What would you say to someone who's in just the early stages of recovery?
Your life isn't over, and there's hope and a future. I would say that you need to put down the shame and the embarrassment of not being able to make it work. And you need to walk the road God has in front of you, because there's redemption and life in your living. You don't have to just exist. You will thrive, but you have to choose it. You have to choose the things, to do the hard things that will bring you to a place where you're healed and you're able to pour into others. But if you're just fresh, like it's fresh, and you can't go back and you can't undo it. Something I would highly recommend, I don't know if you guys have it in Canada, but is divorce care. Oh my gosh. Like, the videos are a little cheesy. But the first time I went through it one time, the only time I went through it, it was like a small group. And I'm telling you, there's just something about hearing from other people that are walking the same path as you. So I would say, get yourself with people who are walking the same path as you, but don't get together to commiserate all the time. Get together to make a promise to move forward.
Yeah.
And to not be in the same place. Just like I told my friends straight up, I looked at them and I was like, I'm not going to be the same person a year from now. And I'm not. And I do that every year. I'm not going to be the same person a year from now. And I say that now. I do not want to be the same person I am right now next year.
That's good for all of us.
Yeah. And so, sorry.
Now who's calling you? Who's interrupting?
I know it was low power mode, so I might have to move rooms and just go to a different room. But yeah, so I would just say, don't give up, press on. Awesome. And I would say, allow yourself to, this is a big deal. I can't believe I didn't say this. I gave myself permission to feel all the feelings. So I didn't stuff them, and I didn't go hysterical. I mean, there were a few panic attacks in amongst all the stuff, but I felt all the feelings, and I knew they would pass, because I think we feel dread, or we feel sadness, or we feel loneliness, and we feel like that's going to be a forever feeling, because the enemy of our souls wants to tell us that we're always going to be like this. Nothing's ever going to change, and we're going to feel like this forever. Yeah. And that's just a lie. And it's so give yourself permission to feel angry, to feel sad, to feel frustrated, to feel lonely, but don't stay there. Mm-hmm. That's what I would say.
Awesome.
Yeah.
We could probably keep going. You said, I think before we started recording, you said, I've got lots of words. So
I have a lot of words.
We won't have to worry about hitting a certain time goal.
No, you won't. Actually, no, you won't. You're right.
Thanks for, you nailed it. And thanks for sharing hope with people that are just trying to survive.
Yeah.
Quite literally. We don't know who's watching, but trust that God has something for you tonight if you're watching and listening and all that stuff, and you find yourself in the same place as Melinda did. So thanks for being that person to bring hope out of hopelessness for somebody tonight.
I hope so.
Yeah, this has been awesome.
Melinda, thank you so much. You said it. You had a lot of words, but I think the reality is you had a lot of good words for us tonight. I appreciate you so much just opening up the book on your life and letting us in and letting us see and bringing hope to people who are right where you are. And I just want to say this. She talked about leaning on God's people and leaning on others through the struggle of it all. And I want to remind you that you can lean on us. You can reach out to us. care@woodstockwesleyan.org is our email address where you can reach us. And if you don't have a home church, we'd love for you to join us on Sunday mornings in person or online. woodstockwesleyan.org, you can find us. Or wherever you are, reach out to a church where you can find some support and some people who will believe with you for new days and good things ahead. Here's the thing. We're not saying that divorce is the best plan. If you are struggling in your marriage, we encourage you to reach out for help. You can reach out to us, reach out to a good counselor where you are, and find some help. I loved how Melinda said too, my spouse didn't want to go to counseling, so I did. I needed to be able to work on me. And so you can do that. And we're not promoting that divorce is the answer when there's struggle. We're just trying to deal with the reality of it, that it does happen. Some of the things she said, grieving, the importance of grieving, and taking our difficult things to God, our difficult feelings, and feeling them and not trying to just push them down and suppress them. I thought that was so good. Talking about the habits she put in place so she would come through this as a different person, not the same person, and not being too proud to ask for help. That can be tough for all of us. Go to someone you know who's been down this road if you are in the middle of this struggle. God works through his people, and I want to invite you to be part of a local church if you're not part of one. I want to remind you too, and bring you hope, that God's promises can be trusted. Isaiah 40, verse 27 to 31 is our theme for this series. You people of Israel say, God pays no attention to us. He doesn't care if we're treated unjustly. But how can you say that? Don't you know, haven't you heard? The Lord is the eternal God, creator of the earth. He never gets weary or tired. His wisdom cannot be measured. The Lord gives strength to those who are weary. Even young people get tired. then stumble and fall. But those who trust the Lord will find new strength. They will be strong like eagles, soaring upward on wings. They will walk and run without getting tired. Put your trust in Jesus today. If you don't know him, get in touch with us. We'd love to help you begin a relationship with God, because we believe all hope that is not fleeting begins and ends with a relationship with Jesus Christ. So thank you for joining us again tonight. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Melinda, for sharing with us. We hope you have a great week, and we'll see you again next time.